The only performance worse than Jim Chalmers' performance tonight is the performance of school teaching graduates when they're given at the end of their studies a basic literacy and numeracy test. Reports today that 10% of graduating teachers fail that basic test, which means they're unable to use basic punctuation in sentences and can't spell words like exaggerate or disappoint. That's double the number of teachers who were failing this exam in 2016. Now, educators are clearly the product of the education system, but I think a clue as to why the education system is so bad is the response to this news by various teacher representatives. The Education Union of Victoria, in response to news that 10% of graduating teachers are failing this basic test, the Education Union of Victoria criticised the test, saying it was an inappropriate way to assess whether or not people were capable of teaching. The Australian Catholic University had a professor come out and say, well, the problem was the order of the questions, Caleb, because you normally have a test that goes from easy to difficult, but in this test, all the questions were jumbled up. Then there was the Central Queensland University professor who said, no, see, the way to understand what's really happening is to understand who failed this test by gender, by ethnicity and by location, because then we'd really understand what's going on. And then to top it all off, the Education Minister, Jason Clare, upon hearing about the terrible results here, said, well, what we're going to do to fix this is instead of holding the test at the end of their studies, we're going to hold the test at the beginning of their studies. Right. That way, this is what he said, they can have multiple opportunities to pass. Problem solved. There you go. That is why we've got so many problems in our schools.
This is incredible. Remember, it was just last August that we learned via NAPLAN results across the nation that 1 in 3 school kids were failing the expected standard of literacy and numeracy. Really simple stuff. You've got to ask yourself, what the heck are our children being taught in school if it's not literacy and numeracy? We've talked ad nauseum about how our schools and universities have become hotbeds, cesspools of indoctrination, but it never becomes more obvious when you look at stuff like this going, so our kids are failing, and then we find out our teachers aren't up to scratch, so how the heck are the kids supposed to be above the cut anyway? This also, back in 2023, I remember the government did, it was just a consultation paper, but the feds released in July 2023 this consultation paper where they'd gone to the schools being like, how can we make schooling in Australia freer and fairer and all round better? And that paper, I'll never forget this, noted that only 1% of teachers in Australia, just under 1% actually, were accredited to teach at the highest levels. There's only 4 levels available, but they all get to graduate standard, and all the teachers go, well, I'm paid now, I'm employed, I'm getting it done. Why would I advance? And so less than 1% of teachers in Australia, and there's hundreds of thousands of them, have actually taken it upon themselves to be like, well, I want to be the best in my field. I want to be paid a bit more. I'm going to put in a few more hard yards. And it does make you wonder, where's the passion for teaching gone?